Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Dr. Pai's Astrology channel. Today we have our very lovely Bhabajeet ji, and who don't know him, he's a Vedic astrologer, numerologist, and also does a bit of palmistry, or mainly numerology, as you said in beginning. And he has his own channel, Exotic Astrology. So I welcome you, Bhabajeet. Namaste.
Thank you so much, madam. It's a great pleasure to be on Dr. Pai's channel. I was here in 2018 when Bharataram ji had invited me, and yeah, today we also have a very interesting topic on exceptional success in profession. Like, for example, we see people are very much successful in their profession, but what are some exceptionally successful indicators? So now when I say indicators, I just don't mean the horoscope, which is from astrology, but I also mean using numerology and palmistry. So whenever we combine all the three sciences, then we get the best results. So many times people ask me why do we need palmistry or why do we need numerology? But sometimes what happens is using astrology, you cannot answer so every question. But when you couple numerology and palmistry with the horoscope, then there are a lot of things you can answer basically. So today, what I will do is in this presentation, I have some combinations for astrology and numerology. And at the end, there is just some a bit of palmistry. So thank you very much once again. And yeah, let's begin. Oops. All right. So first of all, we need to understand what is success. So from a Vedic perspective, let's talk of the modern perspective first. Modern perspective is, like, all right, just be successful, become a millionaire or a billionaire. That's like the definition of success. But from a Vedic perspective, if we see our Vedic scriptures like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand success is not just monetary or not just in terms of having a lot of followers or power or position. It is a holistic it is like a holistic growth where every area of life is well balanced, and within that you are doing good things, big things for the society. So this is one stark difference. Then now when we come to astrology, we need to understand how do we see. So let's assume there is no palmistry or there is numerology. Let's just focus on astrology for the moment. So, how do you know that somebody is going to be very famous? So, the first thing that we need to do is, which I always keep saying, we need to see the chart first. Okay, so what does it mean, the chart? So, in the chart, in the horoscope, you need to see these five houses. What are going on with these five houses? And for simplicity, I have removed all complicated terms and analogies. And if you have no idea of astrology, if you just know some basics, you will still understand this. So, in astrology, we have 12 houses, 12 signs, and we have 9 planets. But among them, there are these five houses, which are the most powerful houses. Now, again, when I say power, it is not, like power externally, political power, but in terms of doing something good for yourself and the society at large in general. So, the first house is the most important house, which is the house of the self, it's the Lagna. But the first house is also the house of determination. So, if a person has a very strong first house, or the first house lord, which is the Lagna lord, is very well placed, then the person has very high determination, and the person sticks to his or her word, and the person actually just does not say, but the person actually believes what they are saying. So therefore the first house is very important. Then we have the fifth house. Fifth house is the house of passion, as we know. Fifth house is also love, romance, children, it's creativity. So fifth house is the house which tells you why you get up in the morning. So many times people, they lack motivation in life. So which is like saying, when they get up in the morning, they don't feel like jumping from the bed sometimes. So that means the fifth house can have some issues. Then the ninth house. The ninth house is very important because it's the house of divinity. It's the house of your guru. It's the house of God, and it is the house of guidance. Now, why is the ninth house very important here? Because ninth house shows your mentors. Now, what you can learn in 20 years, a mentor can tell you in 20 minutes. A mentor can shorten your 20-year journey, in 20 minutes. Of course, you will need experience, but your mentor can exactly tell you what you need to do, where you are going wrong, and what are your strong, where is your stronghold, where are your weak links, your strength and weaknesses. So therefore, the guru is very important because the guru can identify. Now, when I say guru, it can be your local school teacher, it can be your astrology Jyotish guru, it can be your mantra guru, your diksha guru, it can be anybody, but I am just clubbing everything together here. And then we have the most important house, which is the 10th house, which is the house of skill, because its primary karaka is Mercury. So 10th house is the maybe perhaps the most important house of all this when we talk of professional success, because it is the house which gives you name, fame, power, position, authority. But it comes with a cost. It comes with the cost of skill. So if you feel that you are not having name, fame, many times people ask me when I do consultations, they always ask me, will I be famous? Will I be famous? Will I be famous? When I was doing consultations in 2015, 16, 17, nobody would ask me this. But nowadays, from last 2, 3 years, everybody is asking, please tell me how much famous I will be because of all this social media and all this. So I counter question them. I ask them that what is the value that you have to provide for others? What is that skill? How can you improve somebody's life? To which some people have good answers and some don't. So if you don't have skill, then you people won't recognize you. And then, of course, 11th house is, needless to say, it is the Labhastan. It is the house of gains. So now, when you know these five houses, in the next slide, we will see why am I at all telling about these houses. Now, in this slide, you will understand what is the relevance of these houses when it comes to grand success. Okay, so for having grand success, and I'll show you with examples. So to have grand success, you have 9 planets. So therefore, majority planets. So I have written 5/6 or more, plus more the better. Or at least if you don't have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 planets, at least the prominent planets like Sun, the Moon, or the Lagna Lord, or better if all of the three, if they are connected to these houses, the fifth house, ninth house, 10th house, 11th house. So then what happens is, see, the fifth house is the house of your passion. So it's like saying you are very passionate. If you have majority of your planets are related to the fifth house, then it shows you are very much motivated in life. You like to do things without any inspiration, or you are self-inspired basically. And if planets are related to your ninth house, then what happens is you will always seek guidance from somebody, and somebody will tell you how to do things. Okay. You don't have to, and that's why they say ninth house is the house of luck, which means you don't have to do much. You already know, somebody tells you. And if your planets are related to the 10th house, then you are like a self-made person. You believe in your own hard work, ethics, and everything, and you work very hard. And if planets are related to the 11th house, then you have, big network circles, they will give you a lot of gains, they will give you contacts, and they'll just call and the thing will be done. You don't have to work much because if you have too many planets associated with the 11th, it means you are born in this life to reap the good karma from your previous lifetime. So, which means your life will be easier and you don't have to do much. Okay. Of course, everybody has to do karma, but you don't have to slog like, 18 hours a day. Now, but you will see many people will have this, they will have Lagnesh in the ninth or, 10th Lord in Lagna. They will have these combinations, fancy combinations. But they may not have one thing, which is very important, which is this, the game changer. The game changer is the nakshatras are the game changers, because if you have many planets associated with these houses, then, well, you will be very successful. There is no doubt about it. But if your nakshatra lords, now what are nakshatra lords? So for example, your sun is in a particular nakshatra. Okay. So suppose in your horoscope, your sun is in Aries. It is in Ashwini nakshatra. So, viewers of Dr. Pai's channel, I don't think I have to speak about nakshatras. It doesn't make sense. But suppose your sun is in Ashwini nakshatra. So Ashwini is ruled by Ketu. So now, if your Ketu is also related to these houses, or primarily the 10th house or the 11th house, then this can take you to the next level. Otherwise, it is also good if it is not, but if the nakshatra lords are connected, then this is just brilliant. But there is another cherry on the top, which it's not yet over. The
Yeah.
cherry is favorable Mahadashas. Now see, there cannot be too many famous people. Why? What is the reason? Because first you need a very strong chart connected to the 5th, 9th, 10th, or the 11th. On top of that, you need good nakshatras. On top of that, you need favorable mahadashas, and not just one or two mahadashas. Not just that. You need favorable mahadashas at least, it can be before also, but at the least from the age of 25 till 75. Nowadays, people are working till, the age of 80, 90, but in general, till 75. So now maybe we can understand how difficult it is, because a person may have a very strong chart, but nakshatra wise it may not be very strong, but let's assume it is strong. So it can happen that at the age of 25, 28, when the person starts working, 22, 23, the person has a good dasha for maybe 7 years, Mars dasha is there. But then the next mahadashas, like Rahu, Jupiter, they are not the best. So then what happens? You get fame till those 7 years. After that, you reach a point of stagnation. And on the other hand, after your Mars dasha, if your mahadasha, which is of Rahu, is negative, then what happens? There is downfall. Okay, so you cannot maintain that level of name fame that you are having. So therefore, now this is very rare that you have great planets and the Mahadashas of these great planets are coming. Or sometimes what happens is people, they have great Mahadashas, but it's coming at the age of 65. So, well, you can still be famous that time, but what if it came before, right? So that is where it is important for us to understand the role of, destiny and karmic baggage, because uh, in the last 20, 30 years, especially, in the Western civilization, this is very much glamorized that, oh, there is this, all that destiny is, nonsense. This does not exist, just believe in yourself, and that's it. Well, that's not wrong. That has a important part. We have to believe in ourselves, and we must believe. If we don't believe, how will we do things? But at the same time, just belief or believing in us ourselves is not just enough. We need to have, the dashas favorable, which are already decided at the time of our birth, and we cannot do much to change it. All right. So that is why this is the slide I was mentioning. You need planets, nakshatras, and dashas, and that is why it is very difficult. Now we'll discuss a bit about numerology. Numerology is just your date of birth alone. But before I go into this, madam, you would like to ask any question or any comments, you would like to add anything?
Yes, so when you had mentioned about nakshatras, we have to look at, so are we looking at nakshatras of the prominent planets, for example, nakshatra
Yes.
of the moon, sun, and rising, so ascendant. So are these the three nakshatras we see connected to 10th or
All
11th?
all the 9 planets.
All the 9 planets, okay.
Yeah. So it's like a gamble. The more, the better.
Okay. Okay, so more out of the 9 planets, they're nakshatras. If those nakshatras are somehow or more and more connected to the 10th house
Yes.
or 11th house, there
Yes.
is higher chances of the person for the fame or the success. But of course,
Exactly.
we need all three to
Yes, yes,
really,
we
yeah.
need. We also need, the zodiac signs, because the zodiac signs will give you very high awareness. But I have not included the zodiac signs like, exalted, debilitated, mole trikona, and all this. The reason I have not included all this, because now if you see originally in the classical texts, the house was not very important. Like Parashar Muni writes, if the planet is exalted, this is there, that is there. House is also there, but the zodiac sign shows, your awareness and maturity. and the house shows the activities and results. But the problem with today is people are not interested in anything internal. They're like, oh, I don't care. I just need money.
Yes. Yeah,
So I have
makes
not
sense.
included all this, but because people are so much externally driven these days. So yeah. So yes, anything else you would like to add?
No, that was the question that came up to me. So that's perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
we will see that in the examples, then it will be
Sure.
very clear for you. All right, so now we are back with numerology. Numerology is your date of birth, and it's like a science. Now, in numerology, there are different numbers. Like for example, you are born in 1st March 1957. Let's take an example now. So now what happens is, in numerology, in your date of birth, every number has some meaning basically. So for example, the number 1 is the number of the sun basically. So that means whoever has number 1 in their date of birth will have strong administration capabilities. Now, before I discuss the numbers, let me tell you, when we discuss numerology, we do not take the first 2 digits of the year, because almost everybody is born in the 1900s. So everybody has 1 and 9. So it does not mean that everybody has number 1 and number 9. It does not mean that. So apart from the first two numbers of your year, you remove it and you take every other number, and then you check it, then you will know it. So if you have the number 1, so you are born in first of any month, or you are born in January, or 51, 61, whatever, then it shows you have very good administration capacity. You can be a good leader. You know how to get things done. You can organize people and your time properly. So these people, they become very good leaders. Then number 3 is the number of Jupiter, but in numerology 3 is the number of respect. So suppose you have the number 1 but you don't have number 3, so people will people will give you respect, but it will be out of fear. But if you have number 3, they will respect you naturally. You may not have a position, but somehow you will feel, people, they will always ask your guidance, or because they think you know a lot. And number 3, they are always learning. It's like always in a student mindset till the time they are old also. And number 9 is the classic number of Mars. So number 9 is the number of courage, and it's like Martian traits. It's like fighter. It's like they bounce back. You can never pin them down. Even if they are down, they'll get up and they'll fight back. You want to say something?
Yes, yes, yeah. I have a, a very tempting question. So I just want to
Yeah.
understand it, okay? So for example, so for example, if someone's born 21st Feb, I'm just getting
Yeah,
an
yeah, 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 yes.
1980. So we remove the 19, we just look at 80, and then we look at the February, which will be 02, and then 21. So when we
Yes.
so when we're looking at these numbers, so for example, the day people, like for example, when someone's born first, let's say 1st October, so we're taking that is
Yeah.
1. But if someone's
Yes.
born 21, are we taking it 3, or we are just looking at 210280
No,
numbers?
so what I said is, from the whatever your date of birth is, you just take the first 2 digits of the year, you separate it, and then the rest, whatever you have in that, you see. Okay, so this is one, and the next is you can add your basic number. So for example, you are born on 28th. So then also you have 1, because your basic number is 2 plus 8 is 1. Or the third scenario is your destiny number, which is your complete date of birth. There you have 1. Okay. So the only condition is 1 cannot be there in the first 2 digits of the year. And apart from that, 1 can be anywhere, or your basic number is 1, which means you are born on 1st, 10th, or maybe 28th, or your destiny number. You add everything and it comes to 1. Okay. So then you have 1. Similarly for 3, 9, 5, 7, like this. Okay. The same rule will apply. The first 2 digits of the year cannot have 3, 9, 5, 7, something like this. So then we have the number 5. It's the classic number of money. It is the money number basically. Anybody's chart who has money or is related to a lot of money, you will always find 5. And the number 7 is the best number in numerology, because it is the number of luck. And now when I show you examples, you will actually understand how powerful these numbers are. Because I have examples for each of these numbers. Now, you need to understand there are other numbers in numerology which are also present, like 8 and 4. These are difficult numbers, but that does not mean they are bad numbers, or it does not mean that if you don't have these numbers, these five numbers, you will not be famous or you won't have money. But if we see that somebody has these numbers, then the probability is a bit higher. All right. So now let us go to numerology combinations. So what do I mean by combinations? Combination means, like in astrology, we have, Jupiter Venus conjunction, something like that. So here, combination of numbers, very, very prominent. So suppose somebody has 9 or 7 with 5. Now, for example, if somebody is born on 9th of May, or 7th of May, or maybe 5th July, or 5th of September, something like this, or somebody is born, or even better, suppose 9th July 1950, brilliant. Then there's 9 and 7, so 9 oblique 7 will give you courage and it will give you great luck, and 5 will give you wealth. So this is a combination of great wealth basically. Or suppose you don't have 5, but you have the number 7 with number 1, then you will have exceptional luck. This is like this is one of the best combinations you can have. Brilliant, just brilliant for leaders and for politicians. This is the cream number. I'll show you examples, then you will know about it. Or the best case scenario, you have all the numbers. You have number 1, you have number 7, you have number 9, you have number 5. Phenomenal leadership. I mean, when I show you examples, you will know about it. Now, this is the destiny number. Destiny number is the DOB's total. So now total, now when you are doing total, you have to include the first 2 digits of the year. So there you don't remove anything. Just whatever is your date of birth, just add all the numbers. Okay, don't remove anything. Just add everything, and that's your destiny number. Now, if your destiny number is 1 or 3 or 7 or 5, and along with that, you have these combinations. Okay. So suppose you are born on 1st of July. So 1 and 7 is there. And then when you add your date of birth, then again it is either 1 or 3 or 7 or 5. Then it is even better. It is like it's like the next level. So in astrology, I was telling you, planets, then nakshatras, second level. So this is the second level. So when I show you examples, you will actually know what I am talking of. Now it could be the other way around, which means you have you add your entire date of birth, it will come to either 1, 3, 7, or 5, but somehow you will not have these numbers in your existing date of birth. That is also okay, but the more you have, the better it is. So these are examples. So destiny number again, add your complete date of birth. So destiny 1, this is very powerful because this shows you will be in such a leadership position, which maybe nobody can replicate, or you will be like the king, because 1 is the number of the king. Not necessarily king in terms of politics, but you have a lot of name fame, extreme high name fame is there. So we know examples like Dilip Kumar Saab, is one of the great actors of Bollywood. In fact, maybe they say he's the first actor of Bollywood. So if you add his date of birth, you will get 1. All right. So this is very, very interesting. He has the number 1, he has number 2, and number 2 is the number of emotions and, popularity also. But nonetheless, if you add, it comes to 1. Then none other than Amitabh Bachchan ji, his date of birth also, if you add, it comes to number 1. And Subramaniam Swamiji, well, he needs no introduction. For him also, if you add, you will get the number 1. But for him, it's interesting. If you see, he also has 5 and 9. So he's very expert in finance. So now you see how the game is changing. So he has the number destiny number 1. But because there is 5 and 9 and 3 also, therefore, this is going to the next level, right? Now, destiny number 3. Indira Gandhi ji, India's ex Prime Minister. If you add her date of birth, it comes to 3. But it's interesting. Here you see the numbers, phenomenal numbers she has, just mind-boggling. She has the number 1, she has number 9 and 7. If you remember, 1 and 7, extreme luck, extreme luck. And you add destiny, it is 3. Just brilliant. This is one of the best DOBs you'll ever find. Then Dr. S. Jaishankar, he has recently, I think yesterday or today, he has become the Foreign Minister of India, External Affairs Minister again. So if you add his date of birth, again, it comes to 3. But interesting, again, there is 1, there is 9, there is 5. 5 is there 2 times. Phenomenal. He's a great diplomat. Whoever asks him any questions will surely regret it later. Then we have India's ex-president and a great scientist, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. For him, he was very much loved, by anyone and everyone. He's like a legend. He's unfortunately no more with us. But for him also, if you see, there is number 1, there's 5, and he already has a 3 in his date of birth. And adding to that, you add his date of birth, it will again come to 3. So this Indira Gandhi ji and his all these 3 examples, these are extreme examples because their destiny number is 3, but also if you see all the 3 date of births, they just have these 4 numbers. They have 1, 7, 5, and 3 and nothing else. So this is like the best grouping I could find. All right, then Destiny 5, this is classic wealth, money. So Modi ji's example, 17 September 1950. Again, there is 1, there is 9, there is 7, and there is 5. Nothing else. There's nothing else in this DOB. Then Nirmala Sitharaman ji, again, India's finance minister, 18 August 1959. Again, she has the number 9 and 5. And no wonder why she's the finance minister, of course. So therefore, if you add this, there's another 5 again, which is there. And the last one is the most brilliant. This one, Destiny 7, extremely lucky, phenomenally lucky, like luck beyond measure. Now, when I say lucky, sometimes people get offended. They think, oh, what do you mean lucky? They didn't work hard. No, I'm not saying they're not hardworking. But when I say lucky, it means that destiny has favored them by giving, good opportunities and, right things at the right time. So that is what is the meaning of luck. When I say extremely lucky, there is like no, they're lucky beyond measure. So Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan, if you add his date of birth, it comes to 7. Extremely lucky. There is 1 and 7. Again, the best combination. But he has a very unique number. He has number 6. Guess what 6 is in numerology? 6 is the number of Venus. It's love, romance, creativity. He's like the romance king of Bollywood or whatever. So phenomenal date of birth. It's just brilliant. And then, of course, President Vladimir Putin, he has to have these numbers. So if you see again, 7 and 1, again, 7th October 1952, he has the number 5 also. And of course, here we will not go into morality, who is good or bad and all this. But if you see something, when the Ukraine war started, when he invaded Ukraine, then everybody was saying, right? The whole world was saying, the Russian ruble will collapse, it will just go downhill and, Russia will be finished. But if you see what happened, the opposite happened. And the ruble bounced back and it bounced back very hard. Why? Because he has great knowledge of finance, because he has the number 5. Whoever has 5 in date of birth knows how to make money. That's it. You cannot trick that person. You can, but the person will bounce back. So we see this again. We see he has 1 and 7 again. Then Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the ISKCON Society. Again, if you add his date of birth, it is again 7. And guess what? He also has 1, 9, and 7. So just brilliant, like brilliant date of birth, just brilliant. There's a slight error in the DOB. It is 1896, sorry, not 1986. And then if you see Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev ji, his date of birth, just phenomenal. Just look at this date of birth. There's 3, there is 9, 1, and 5, and 7. All the numbers that I have given in the slide. He just has this. And on top of that, he has destiny number 7. So I mean, just brilliant date of births, like you will not find all this always. Now, of course, we may be thinking, okay, Sadhguruji was born on this date. Okay, suppose my father was also born on that date, same day. But why my father is not as famous as this person? Well, because then in astrology also you need all the combinations that we discussed. So maybe my father didn't have that. That is why that is why the difference is there. Okay, so that is how you know. So now in the next, in palmistry, you need exceptionally long thumb. So this is the thumb. If your thumb is exceptionally long, then then it shows you have very, very, very strong leadership skills, leadership capabilities. And that shows if your numerology and astrology is supportive, you will have extremely high name and fame. Let me show you two examples. All right, so if you see this, this is Modiji's example. So what do I mean when I say exceptionally long thumb? Let me make it clear. Now, if you see this index finger, do you see this mark? So if your thumb, when you put the thumb together, if it touches this level, or it crosses this level, then it means you have an exceptionally long thumb. So in Prime Minister Modi's case, if you see his hand is together, sometimes you will see this is almost matching this size. But for most of the people, it will either be here or somewhere here. It will not touch this line. And also we have Arvind Kejriwalji's example, Chief Minister of Delhi. So if you see his thumb also exceptionally long, just brilliant. I mean, see how long it is. It is almost touching this. If you see his palm when everything is together, you will see that it is almost here, not exactly, but almost. It's maybe just a bit less. All right. Horoscope examples. We are back to astrology again. So now I will explain with Modiji's chart. Now we saw in numerology, like he has this destiny number 5, he has the number 1, the number 7, and the number 9. So we have seen all this. We have seen his palmistry, the exceptionally long thumb. And then this is his horoscope. So again, I mean, this is just like for us to understand. I mean, there are a lot of other things also. So this chart which you are seeing here, this is the Lagna chart, which shows the signs where the planet is in. And then this is the Bhavachalit chart, which shows which houses the planet is placed in. And then these are, planetary positions, like which nakshatra planet is, and which pada it is. And then this is Vimshotri Dasha, which is, your time periods basically. So now let us go back to astrology. Majority of your planets should be somehow either planetary lordship, or they are themselves placed, or by nakshatra. They should indicate the 5th, 9th, 10th, or the 11th. The more, the better. Okay. And now, when we are talking of Modiji's example, this has to be present in this. It cannot happen without, because there are so many people who might have been born on the same day, 17 September 1950, but not everybody became India's prime minister. So that means now when you narrow down that day, you will need some other combinations of excellence, which will only come through astrology, because astrology, the horoscope is like dependent on the ascendant, which changes every 2 hours, 1.5, 2.5, depending on where you are and depending on the summer or winter. So now, if you go and see, let me zoom in here. So the first nakshatra, we have 9 nakshatra. Let's ignore the ascendant nakshatra for a moment. So let's talk of the sun. So where is the sun placed? Sun is placed in the 10th house. So condition is satisfied with the sun. But we discussed the next level, excellence, nakshatras. So now we'll also check the nakshatra, not just lordship or placement of the planet. So sun is placed in Virgo in the 10th house. Very good. In Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. Now, Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is lorded by whom? It's lorded by the sun. directly, right? So the sun is in the same nakshatra and sun is in the 10th house. So the 10th house is indicated even by the nakshatra. Then we go to moon. Where is where is the moon placed? The moon is placed in the lagna, right? And moon is the 10th lord in the chart. So condition is satisfied. But now let's go to nakshatra. Where is moon placed? Moon is in the nakshatra of Anuradha. Anuradha is lorded by Saturn. Saturn again 10th house. So you see, and now let's go to Mars. So what's going on with Mars? Mars is himself in the Lagna, so that condition is satisfied. But now let's go to Nakshatra. Nakshatra wise Vishaka Nakshatra, so he's not directly linked. So we have one case where the planet is still linked, but the Nakshatra is not. Now let's go to the next, which is Mercury. So Mercury, where is Mercury? Exalted in the 10th house. Again, correlated with numerology 5 in the date of birth and destiny 5 two times. And if you see he's in the 10th house, so condition is satisfied. And you see Uttar Falguni Nakshatra because Mercury is in Uttar Falguni and lorded by the sun. So Mercury is also indicating the 10th house via Nakshatra. Then we have Jupiter. What is going on with Jupiter? He is not sitting in the 10th house, nor he's in the 5th, ninth, or 11th. I mean, he's aspecting the 10th house, but that's not sufficient. So, Jupiter is not indicating. But if you go to Nakshatra, Jupiter is in Dhanishta. Dhanishta is lorded by Mars, again sitting in the Lagna with the 10th lord, phenomenally powerful. Then we have Venus. Venus, Lagnesh, condition is satisfied. In Purva Falguni, its own nakshatra, condition is doubly satisfied. Then we have Saturn. Saturn, where is Saturn? In the 10th house, condition satisfied. Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, again, the sun, doubly satisfied. So Saturn passes the test. What about Rahu? Rahu is sitting in the 5th house. Yes, the condition is satisfied. But nakshatra wise, Uttar Bhadrapada. Uttar Bhadrapada is ruled by Saturn. So condition satisfied again. Then we have Ketu. Where is Ketu? Ketu is placed in the 11th house. So condition is satisfied. And if you see Nakshatra, again Uttar Falguni, again lorded by the sun. So now you see Jupiter is not indicating these houses by planets, so that is the only exception. And Mars is not indicating by nakshatra. But apart from this, all the planets are somehow or the other associating with these four houses. And this has to be there. Otherwise, it's not possible to reach at that level. And then the last thing that we will discuss is, of course, Vimshotri Dasha. Nothing is complete without the dashas, you know. I mean, everything in our life is dependent on the dasha. So now let us see from this period, you know, when he became India's prime minister, which is, you know, in 2014. So if you see, this was the period. If you see Moon and Rahu, this is the period when he became the prime minister, right? So, I think he took oath in the election results were on 16th May, I guess, because I remember it was the last day of my semester exam, 16th May. So if you see, this Moon Rahu has given him, you know, this the first time he became prime minister. And then 2019, again, May, he has become prime minister. So if you see this, this is Moon and Ketu this period. So as we have seen before, Moon and Ketu, I mean, for him, it doesn't make sense to see because every planet is, you know, either ways it's indicating, you know. So basically, we have seen this. And this time also, if you see what is going on here, this time you see very interesting. This time he was running Mars Dasha. Okay, so now if you remember, Mars is that planet which is not indicating by nakshatra, right? And see which dasha he's running, Mars Jupiter, right? So this time the election fell in such a period where they are indicating by either planet or nakshatra, but not by both. So this time, uh, unfortunately for him, he did not get the absolute majority. But again, because his chart is very strong, he is still the prime minister. But there are some glitches, you have coalition partners, they will pull your leg sometimes, and in worst case, the government might fall and there could be re-election and all this. So you see, even with Mars and Jupiter, how the game is playing out. But what I want to tell here is, because the date of birth and the horoscope is very strong, so he's the only prime minister after the first prime minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, that has been sworn in for the third time. All right. So therefore, even so, now this is a situation where the horoscope is very strong, but the dashas are not like the best. Okay. But because the overall chart is so strong, it can still give you things, but it may not be 100%. Like they gave this slogan, "Apki bar 400 par," but it didn't happen. But if this was a different dasha, then it would have definitely happened, because we saw this example in Moon Rahu and Moon Ketu's example. All right. So, and then, in 2029, let's, see hypothetically, if there's election again, May 2029, which dasha he will begin. It is Rahu, and Rahu is phenomenal. Rahu was the planet who made him prime minister for the first time. So, hypothetically, if he is of good health and he still decides to contest, so most likely he might be the prime minister. But of course, we will have to see how situation is unfolding at that time. But what I wanted to show is, you need all the strong indicators for a very high name fame, basically. And of course, the world is not enough. I mean, there are divisional charts, there's D1, there's D9, there's D10, so the world is not enough. I mean, there are so many things. And if for now, I have just taken two charts, like the D1 and the Bhav chart. But then we also need to consider the D9 and the D10, and maybe some other day we can do a session on that, just these
Sure.
divisional charts. So we also need to consider, so for example, if a planet is well placed in the D1, but in the D9 it is not well placed, so then what happens is, you will have to achieve everything by your own hard work, because the D9 gives you luck. It is somewhat synchronous with the numerology number 7. Okay. So many times people ask, oh, my D1 is not good, but or other, they say, no, my D1 is average, but my D9 is also average. So what does it mean? So then I tell them, in your numerology, if you have number 7, then it is almost like having a very strong D9. But if you don't have 7 there and you have a strong D9, it is like having 7 there.
Okay.
And if you have both, well, then you rule.
So even if someone has so 7 is not coming up as their destiny number, but 7 shows up in their whole
Yeah,
number. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
like they are born in July or 7th or
Yeah.
25th or 16th, even then it will show up.
It still show up and still they have that factor of luck in their
Yes,
lives,
yes, yes.
But then if it shows up in destiny, it shows up in the chart, so then we are getting stronger dose, like the stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yes, 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 yes. And there is one thing which I forgot to mention when it comes to numerology. I'll just mention in this case, this combination that I mentioned, exceptional luck, 1 and 7. But there is a condition to this. The number 8 should not be present.
Okay.
Okay. And guess what? Who has this 1 and 7 without 8? Let's see who has it.
Okay.
So, the person who has this is Srimati Indira Gandhi. She has this. There's no 8.
Wow.
Okay. Then who's another person who has this? Now, Narendra Modi ji, he unfortunately has 8. Because if
Okay.
you add his basic number, it is, 1 plus 7, that is 8. So for him, this is applicable, but not 100%. Okay. But there's another person for whom this is applicable, and you will know the power of this now. President Vladimir Putin, 1 and 7 and no 8. Shah Rukh Khan, 1 and 7, no 8. Srila Prabhupada, 1 and 7, no 8. phenomenal. Sadhguruji does not have one because the first two digits we cannot take, but these three examples, so phenomenal. I mean, you just look at their life and just brilliant. I mean, just brilliant. Okay. And here you may be thinking this is 1986. So, but as I said, this is 1896. So 1 and 8 we will remove and 9 and 6 will take. So that is how he does not have 8. Okay. So whoever has this 1 and 7 without it, just brilliant, very lucky. And even the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi ji, he also has 1 and 7 without 8. So he's born in this, great family, and so therefore whoever has this is like very lucky, extremely lucky. Now again, lucky does not mean they're not hardworking, but somehow destiny has favored them.
They don't
And
have
yes,
to work. Yeah.
yeah, yes, please.
No, I said they're supported by the luck. Like where a
Yes,
normal person might
yes,
have to do a
yes,
lot more to get a
yes.
little bit. They can do a little bit but get a lot because other factors are supporting.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, if you compare Shah Rukh Khan and Modi ji's example, he got success in his not 20s but 30s and 40s primarily. But if you see Modi ji's life, he was not very prominently known in his 20s, 30s, 40s. And I think in his 50s or 60s he became chief minister and then prime minister. So this is because of number 8. 8 is the number of Saturn. 8 slows you down. 8 is like, brother, you need to wait. And of course,
Yeah.
divisional charts, very important. Please don't ignore divisional charts. And this is the last thing, which is, strong Prashna chart, which means if somebody is asking, if this person will be famous, suppose this is very much useful in terms of, competition. So suppose two persons are competing for something and they have a strong horoscope, which they will have if they have a strong date of birth, if they have a similar palmistry. So everything is same, then who wins, right? So then you have to do the Prashna chart and that will tell you who is winning. So when doing the Prashna chart, we have to be very specific and laser focused. Like we cannot ask, what will happen. We have to be very specific. Candidate A and B are fighting elections. Who will win? Don't ask this. We should ask, will candidate A win this election?
Mm.
Not like who will win, because from the horoscope you can't identify who is, candidate A or B. But this is the blunder which people do when they use Prashna, and Prashna works like it's like hitting the bullseye. But 90% of the people fail with Prashna, not because Prashna does not work, because they ask the wrong questions in the wrong way.
Mm.
Always be person specific. Always ask, will this person lose? Or will this, or rather, maybe will this person win? So then, but this another warning, don't use this Prashna as a fancy technique. If somebody is using Prashna to get shortcuts, like for example, they go and say, oh, in US there is election coming, all right? So there is Donald Trump versus President Biden. Who's gonna win? Oh yeah, we don't know their date of birth. Let's do Prashna. This will not work there. So of
Mm.
course, it's very difficult to make that prediction. But what I'm saying is, first, you check the date of birth, then you check the horoscope, then you can also check the palm, because palm photos are very easily available for famous people. And if after that you are not reaching a conclusion, for God's sake, only then you should use Prashna, otherwise not. Okay. Or it is like something very extreme, like, I lost my phone. Where is it? It is in the north, east, west, south, whatever. And that you cannot find from the horoscope. You can't find it from numerology or palmistry. So that is a different thing. There you are asking like silly questions. That's okay. But for large events, for big things, for president, prime minister, and all this, well, you have to understand that you need to go as take help of astrology and numerology and palmistry, and after that, to confirm what you have seen. So suppose you say contender A and B are fighting elections. Contender A is, chart, DOB, hand, everything is very strong, thumbs up. and you know that person also has a clear way, clear edge, in the exit poll or whatever, you. So then you can ask, then you can tell your friend, to ask some random day, will candidate A win elections? And then if in the Prashna also it is confirmed, then it is like sealed. So that is how we should use Prashna, and not just for gambling, oh, this stock will go up, that stock will go down, right? All right, thank you very much. Jai Jagannath, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Gopal. Please feel free to ask anything or please add anything that you want.
No, this was wonderful presentation, Babaji. Thank you so much. Really lovely to be understanding palmistry with numerology and together with astrology and the steps one has to take to really look at the chart and not just make predictions of you know
Yeah.
basics. Really going into the depth and really getting the proper conclusion of it. So this was really beautiful. You had mentioned, I'm just curious, you had mentioned
Yeah.
that you started, how did you come into astrology? Like you started with numerology. Can you please tell me a little bit more about what fascinated you or what was your, yeah.
Yeah, so when I was studying about astrology from like maybe 2001 or 2002, since then, so then what I understood was that astrology is very powerful. It can give you unique insights about your chart and your life, but there are some things which astrology cannot answer.
Mm,
Like one of the most frequently asked questions to an astrologer is, how do you differentiate twins? Then
mm,
astrologers come to defense of astrology. They will say, no, no, we can. The D60 is different. The D9 is different. What if it's not? There are people who are born within 1 minute. The
mm,
D60 is same. The numerology is the same. The horoscope, the D60 is same. Then you have no defense. Well, then you will say, and they have completely different lives, which is bizarre. But then you know that there is one thing which will not match. What is that? The hand. The hand will be different. No two human beings in this world can have the same. That is why they say you are uniquely identifiable by your fingerprint. No two humans will ever have. That's the God. That's the beauty of God's creation. Everybody looks different. Everybody has a different fingerprint. Everybody has a different hand. So what I have seen is, there are different things which palmistry answers. Like, for example, if in astrology there is indication of travel. So suppose a person is in West Bengal, India. West Bengal is a state in the eastern part of India. And then the person's ninth house is activated. Suppose, ninth lord's dasha is going on, whatever the planet is. So then the person is asking you, okay, I want to do my bachelor's. So will I do it in West Bengal or will I do it somewhere in India, in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, wherever? Or will I do it in Canada or Germany? If the person is asking, and then you are like, oh yeah, I know the answer. Ninth house, you will have a long distance travel. But what is long distance?
mhm. Yeah.
For that person, if the person is in a village in West Bengal, for him the long distance maybe to travel to Kolkata, 8 hours, 10 hours by car or whatever, or maybe he's going to Delhi, 1,000 2,000 kilometers, or maybe the person is going to Canada or US, Germany, Europe, wherever, overseas. Then you will say, no, now I know how to predict. I will see if the 12th house is there. If 12th house is not there, if the third house is there, then maybe it's India or it's your same state. So you will be confused. You cannot make a prediction because in astrology, if you go into detail and you do a lot of research, you will see the third house and the ninth house are equally capable of giving foreign travels. You will be shocked if you do more research on this. Now, what I am trying to tell here is not just the 12th house. The third house is the house of travel, so it can give you any travel basically. But yeah, ninth and 12th will give you long distance for sure. But it cannot tell you whether you will travel abroad or in a different state, because India is like a continent. It's like somebody in Assam goes to Chennai. It's a totally different. It's like, the food, language, culture, everything is different. Or so this is one case. So in terms of twins, then palmistry helps. Then if you have this travel, so in that using palmistry you can find that this ninth house or 12th house will be a intercity travel or a inter-country travel. Okay, that is what you can find. And sometimes using numerology you can get to know, for example, if the person has the number 6 in numerology, then the person is a bit luxury prone, a bit. Okay, but now suppose you see the person in astrology has a very strong 10th house, but does not have a very strong 5th house, which is synonymous with the number 6 in numerology. Then what it means, this person will just buy luxuries when required, and the person will whenever he or she gets money, they will buy luxurious items, and that is all, it will just be there. But now if in astrology the 5th house is like very prominent, then this person is extremely creative, extremely. Like we have Shah Rukh Khan's case. I'm not sure about his chart, but he has number 6, he has number 7, destiny number 7, and also I think he has Venus in the 5th house with the chart that is there online. He has Venus in 5th house. uh, so therefore, when you add all this, and the best use you can do is in marriage compatibility. So in marriage compatibility, this is very interesting, because many times people will ask you what kind of a partner I will meet. But sometimes people also ask you what kind of a partner should I try to look for. This is also sometimes people will ask. So then what I do is I see their numerology, I see their date of birth. If there is 3, 7, and 9, if there are these three numbers, these three are the numbers of spirituality in numerology. So if they have these numbers, then I tell them that, hey, Mr. Please understand, for you it is essential that the girl that you find should at least not obstruct your spiritual practices. If not do herself with you, but at least she should not obstruct herself or your practices. And she should not have some extreme numbers, like 2, 6, and all this, because 6 is the number of luxury. So imagine every Sunday you want to go to the temple, and she will say, I want to go somewhere else. So then there can be some dissent, but this is just a small example. And similarly, if somebody has number 9, number 5, number 7, these are all money numbers. So then they ask me what kind of partner should I choose. Then I say, okay, the spouse, your husband or wife, should also have some similar numbers. Otherwise, on the contrary, if you have 5, you want to save all the money of the world, and your spouse has number 4, they want to spend all the money in the world. So you will have fights every day, and then eventually, if your astrological charts are indicating divorce, you might be getting divorced. So therefore, at the end, we use all the three sciences wherever required, and we can make very good predictions. So that is all I will say.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you for the beautiful presentation, and thank you for
My
being here
pleasure,
with
my
us.
pleasure. Thank you.